What is going on, my Houston Texans family? It is day 7 of training camp. The pads have been on, and we have a lot to talk about today. The defense was the star of the show. Now, the previous 2 practices, we were giving a lot of love to the offense, even saying, I said, that if this was a fight, it's going to go to the Cards, and with a little bias, I'm going to give a win to the offense because we know the offense is trying to figure itself out while the defense is just set. Well, it was no question who won the day. This DeMeco Ryans defense was firing on all cylinders. These boys were swarming. There were sacks, pass breakups, pick sixes. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about all that. What we are also going to talk about at the end of the video is my frustration with the way training camp is being handled this year. And I'm not talking about the product on the field. I'm not talking about anything in terms of players, but the way training camp has been handled this year for the fans. With that being said, we're going to jump right into it. It's your boy, Mr. 713, and this is the 713 Houston Sportcast, where I drop daily Houston Texans content. So please make sure you guys are following me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok for the latest Houston Texans news, rumors, and updates. And guys, I am proud to say that this episode is brought to you and powered by the deck on Fountain View. We have a watch party set up for week 1 against the Los Angeles Rams. Here is the flyer. I cannot wait to see you there. Let me know if this is something that you want to attend. But once again, this episode is brought to you and powered by the deck on Fountain View. Let's first start with the defense, because like I mentioned in the introduction, they won the day. The secondary, Derek Stingley, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Kalen Bullock, Kamari Lash, it doesn't matter who it was. Pass breakups, it was sticky coverage. They made it hard on this Houston Texan wide receiver group. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, I think the more practices he gets under his belt as a Houston Texan, the better he gets. And he's starting to rub off on the Houston Texans. There was a play where I believe it was him and Kalen Bullock in coverage against Nico Collins, and the pass got batted away. C.J. Gardner-Johnson is just dancing. Really, that's it. Just dancing, letting the music take over. He made a big play, and you know what happens immediately after? Kalen Bullock starts to jump in and dance too, and the crowd started laughing. Dawson Schultz went up there and separated them. These boys were having fun. Did you hear what C.J. Gardner-Johnson said today? He said, I've been on Super Bowl contending teams. I've been on a Super Bowl winning team. This is a Super Bowl caliber team. And it feels good to hear that, especially coming from someone who just won a Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles. And it's not like he didn't have an impact on that team. He was one of the best safeties in the league, ladies and gentlemen. So when I hear that from C.J. Gardner-Johnson, I believe it. He was making plays today. The offensive line struggled against Danielle Hunter, Sheldon Rankins, Will Anderson Jr. Like I said, the previous 2 practices, we were giving some love to the O-line. They got work today. Sacks from the tackles, sacks from the interior, sacks from the safeties, right? On a design blitz, Jalen Petrie would have sacked C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud is using his legs more these past couple of practices. So like I mentioned a couple of days ago, hit the over on his rushing yards. But 4 out of the 5 spots on the O-line are set. Like I said, Cam Robinson's your starting left tackle. Laken Tomlinson's your starting left guard. Titus Howard is your right guard. Ariante Ursary, ladies and gentlemen, he is your starting right tackle. Right? We were having the conversation yesterday of, could he? It looks like he's winning the race. No, it's solidified. I think he is your starting right tackle because when the first offense goes out there, he's there. And he looks the part too. Ariante Ursary is a behemoth. And from what we heard from Adam J. Wexler, on the 3rd team, he's playing that left tackle. There's a future here for Ariante Ursary. Year 1 right tackle, year 2 left tackle. Now that's depending on how Cam Robinson does. Cam Robinson he looks good, ladies and gentlemen. It's not Laramie Tunsil, but I think a lot of fans are going to be surprised with Cam Robinson. That boy was sweating today. The rookie, Jalen Reed, a pick six. I think Davis Mills threw the interceptions today. He was playing with his head on fire. This entire defense was playing with his head on fire. It was definitely a physical practice, and you could tell. Now, one thing that I am concerned about. Give me 1 second. I think we got some breaking news. No. That I am concerned about the running back position. Because as we all know, Joe Mixon is going to be out for a couple of weeks. Most likely he's not going to touch the field during the preseason. It's going to take him a while to get ready. Nick Chubb, as much as I love Nick Chubb, as much as I love the signing and hope he balls out, it's looked okay. Right? It looks like Nick Chubb is coming back from, 2 years worth of injuries. It's going to take some time. J.J. Taylor, Jahar Jordan are having some pretty good practices. British Brooks, when he's given an opportunity, is looking good out there, a very physical runner. I wonder if the Houston Texans are looking on the free agent market for a running back. But hopefully we get to see more of Nick Chubb, and hopefully, and once the preseason starts rolling around, we get to see him against some other competition. C.J. Stroud, he was okay today. He did what he could, right? That just goes to show you how good the defense was today against the offense. And, there's going to be days like that. I can't wait for there to be a day where we hear, C.J. Stroud was just bombing it all over. Will that day come this year? I don't know. But, when you really look at it, a O-line full of starters, a new offensive coordinator, a new offensive line coach going up against arguably the best defense in the NFL. So the defense was the star of the day. There's not really a lot you could take away from the offense, guys, because, it was, like C.J. Gardner-Johnson said, it was belt to ass. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to tell you guys why I'm frustrated with the way training camp has been lately. And it's not with anything that has to do with the team itself, the players, the coaches, the owners, but the way training camp itself is being handled. You get up from your seat, and it doesn't matter if someone's saving you a spot, it's going to get taken. And it's not going to get taken from like a random fan, right? You can tell them, hey, this seat's being saved. And, anyone with decent common courtesy will say, okay, and move along. But now there's workers there who are seeing just any open seat whenever it's open. And they're telling people, hey, that spot's open, without having conversation with anyone who's in that general area. And it's like, what if that seat's being saved? And now you have a conflict between two people, and that's just not right. Now, this didn't happen to me. I only go to camp by myself. I have no issue losing my spot. If I lose it, I lose it. But to my right, there was a gentleman who was arguing with these workers about his spot, and they were trying to take it away because I guess whether it was his people, his family, I don't know. They weren't sitting down for a while. We heard that, that him and his people showed up as early as 3 o'clock in the morning. Come on, what are we doing here? One of the things about training camp is not only seeing the product on the football field, but showing how much of a fan you are. That's why the gates are open at 4:30. That's why that's why whenever there's a line, it's being put out on social media. That's why the news shows up as early as 4 or 5. They want to see who's there early. They want to see the diehards. How far did you come from is what they ask you. What do you want to see today? I know I would be pissed if someone told me that, that I was going to lose my seat when I showed up as early as 3 o'clock in the morning. It was one of the first people in line. I'm happy that dude was able to save his spot, was able to enjoy the rest of training camp if he could. I know that must have been a stressful situation, but hopefully in the future, these problems, they go lower and lower. But it's been that way the last couple of practices, man. There's a lot of people. The Texans, they want it to be sold out. They do. And it does sell out. The lines for people trying to get in are just insane. But that was my frustration with training camp and the way it's been operating the last couple of days. People who are coming with 3+, just be careful. Make sure you guys have a system. With that being said, guys, for more Houston Texans content, you guys know what to do. Feel free and follow me for more. I love y'all. Go Houston. Have a blessed day.